got you now, Batman. This is gonna look great. Gadzooks. It's gone! Again! I never thought I'd see the dead have to use this. Gus, what are you doing?
Don't judge me.
I guess this plot line is going to resolve itself another day, but seeing that you're here, we might as well review a Batman movie. How does that sound?
Batman! Yeah, Batman!
I'll take that as a yes. Maybe quarantine has not been kind to us.
Batman! Yeah, Batman! Wait a minute! Batman's not even in there!
Well, it's been 25 years since this movie debuted in theaters, and it's time for it to get its due. Gus! Focus!
Oh, right. Batman Forever.
When a third Batman movie came on board, Warner Brothers was hesitant because of what happened with Batman Returns. Tim Burton's direction with the sequel made studio heads feel it was best to go in a different direction. Joel Schumacher was hired on to helm the third entry, and the rest is history. Well, okay, there's more to it than just that.
It's strange considering the dark filmography Schumacher holds in comparison to Burton. True, Burton had Beetlejuice, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Edward Scissorhands. But did he ever direct a movie with vampires or a psychotic Michael Douglas? Yeah, I do not think so.
Wait a minute, didn't you already review this movie?
Those were old times. Besides, I can barely remember jack about the past.
And that's where we come in.
Oh, yeah.
After all, this movie did make a big impact on the public when it was released in the summer of 1995. Even if Warner Bros. Didn't have any faith in this being a big hit, the public felt otherwise. And much like the Bat of '89, the Bat of '95 will never be forgotten either. I mean, look at the marketing on this thing. It was everywhere. Toys, comic books, music videos, that Bat Riddler logo, and who could forget those McDonald's glasses? I bet they're worth a fortune at this point.
$12 for all four of them on eBay.
Wow. How dirt cheap.
And I didn't have to eat 4 large sandwiches in order to do so. Even if the movie was a hit, Batman Forever has gotten some diverse opinions over time. There are those who feel it's the pure definition of a comic book movie, while others feel it's a tad dumbed down for younger audiences.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir? I'll get drive-through.
And what better way to analyze this movie than when someone that has the mind of a child? Isn't that right, Gus? Gus? This is going to be a long episode. First, let's talk about Val Kilmer's casting. Once Keaton left, Val Kilmer was cast after Schumacher saw him in Tombstone. Kilmer's not half bad as Bruce Wayne in Batman. Granted, I'm still split between Keaton and Kevin Conroy for the best, but Kilmer tries to do his own take. I do give props for doing most of his own stunts in the Batsuit, but something feels off about him.
Actually, he was the one that got me into Batman.
Really?
Oh yeah, everyone has their own Batman they grew up on, regardless how good or... let's just say mediocre.
After all, it doesn't matter who plays Batman. It's the same character, but defined by the tone of the movie and actor. Kilmer is a good Batman, but compared to Keaton, it's like apples and oranges. Kilmer is more of an action hero. This guy was in Top Gun, Heat, Tombstone, and The Saint. Keaton's take is more human and goes into who Batman is. Comparing the two is a major contrast, so I'll leave it at this. You can have a Batman that's deeply developed, or a straight-up action man.
That's a very good point. If more than one person can play James Bond, there can be more than one actor who can play Batman.
Of course I'm Batman. See, here's a picture of me with Robin.
Who the hell's Robin?
Oh, I guess you're only familiar with the new Batman movies. And how come Batman doesn't dance anymore? Remember the Bat to see? Yo, hey, yeah.
Nice meeting you. Just keep moving, don't make eye contact.
Kilmer's take is not forgettable, and he does get some aspects of the character nailed. While the socially awkwardness is gone, he still has the senses of a detective and is still trying to deal with the torment of his parents' death. Oh, we'll get back to that later.
With all due respect, Bruce does try to get his grief out of the way with the help of a psychologist named Chase Meridian, played by Nicole Kidman.
Much like the themes of having dual lives, Meridian's only will to exist is to add conflict to Bruce being Batman, I guess. Some of this I can see working. In Spider-Man, you wondered how Peter Parker could juggle around being a normal guy and a superhero at the same time. Mary Jane knew Peter as a friend, but holds a crush on his alter ego. It does add some tension wondering if Mary can love both Peter and Spider-Man, but here, there's an issue. Chase doesn't know Bruce that personally, outside of him being one of her clients, and there's not much established to why she loves Batman. In their first scene establishing this, she just shows how much she digs him, and that's pretty much just it.
A trauma powerful enough to create an alternate personality leaves the victim.
In a world where normal rules of right and wrong no longer apply.
Exactly.
Like you. Well, let's just say I could write a hell of a paper on a grown man who dresses like a flying rodent.
Bats aren't rodents, Dr. Meridian.
Really? I didn't know that. You are interesting.
And I am certain that somewhere in her closet is a shrine to Batman made out of watermelon peels and bubblegum. And from there, her storyline just feels like it could be easily cut out. Every time we go back to her, Chase is just trying to seduce Batman. She even goes as far as to use the bat signal. And for what? Just to drop some advice on one of the villains and get into Batman's rubber suit?
Try fireman, less to take off.
There's not that much consistency with her character. When she's with Bruce, at least she's trying to help cope with his psychological issues. When she's going on about Batman, well...
Slut, slut, slut!
The villains for this one are Two-Face and the Riddler. Much like with Batman Returns, it continues the tradition of having more than one baddie going after Batman. Well, 3 if you count this guy.
You on?
Two-Face is played by Tommy Lee Jones. Not a perfect take on the character, and certainly far removed from other adaptations. While they do stick to his comic book origins where he gets hit with a vat of acid on a day of court work. Seriously, who is the security guard that didn't check to see if there's anything hazardous on him? The performance alone is... something to be desired.
All right, boys! Phase 2!
No offense to Tommy Lee Jones, but there's something about his portrayal that feels weird. Tommy Lee Jones is good at playing stern characters, and his deadpan delivery could work as Harvey Dent.
This thing caused the 1977 New York blackout. Practical joke by the great attractor.
And to the movie's credit, there are times when we do see him sort of downplayed, but it's very brief.
What say we flip for it? One man is born a hero, his brother a coward. Babies starve, politicians grow fat, holy men are martyred, and junkies grow legion. Why? No more riddles, no more curtains 1 and 2, just plain curtains.
Aren't you forgetting something, Harvey? Your coin. You're always of two minds about everything.
Yes, of course you're right, Bruce. Emotion's always the enemy of true justice. Thank you. You've always been a good friend.
The character of Two-Face is modeled after Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, with the two halves clashing against each other. In Batman Forever, we get more Hyde and less Jekyll.
Blind, stupid, simple, doodah, clueless. Yes, oh, happy day. Blast it!
As much as I like Tommy Lee Jones, he feels sort of miscast here. Take, for example, Nicolas Cage in Face Off. He's the perfect example of what Two-Face should have been. A guy who can go from being calm to bat crazy in a matter of seconds. Here, all Tommy does is just act like the Joker and flip a coin. Aspects of the character are there, but it's mostly played for camp.
Alright, let's see what we're having for dinner tonight. Pastrami it is! Now, let's see what I'm gonna have to drink. Sunny D, damn it! Alright, let's see what I can win at dessert. Oreo cheesecake? 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
And let us get the big one out of the way. Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
Oh? Well, what did you think about him?
I think you know exactly how I feel about him.
Oh. No, seriously, what did you think about him?
Easily, he's the standout of the movie. For both the right and the wrong reasons. As much as I love Jim Carrey, I find him more interesting as the Riddler's counterpart, Edward Enigma. When Jim is Nigma, he's intimidating and damn scary. This is the perfect persona of every other obsessive fan. Nigma has his sights on Bruce for a device he has that can revolutionize television, and the possibility of causing pure brain damage.
The future is now! Soon every American home will integrate their television, phone, and computer. You'll be able to visit the Louvre on one channel, or watch female mud wrestling on another. You can do your shopping at home, or play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam. There's no end to the possibilities.
It just raises too many questions.
You were supposed to understand.
Huh. Ironic how the Cable Guy came out 1 year after this movie, and they're both about television and how it revolutionizes the technology. The two still hold up!
When Carrey is Nigma, he's damn frightening. The way he obsesses over Bruce, the fact that he wants to be Bruce, and even beat him at his own life. That is the most interesting side of his performance.
How come you don't look so good in that suit?
Shut up.
But when he plays the Riddler...
Heavy metal meets house and garden. Beautiful. It's so dark and gothic and disgustingly post-homicidal depression. Is your brain on the box? This is my brain on the box. Does anybody else feel like a fried egg? Feeding off your brain. Ow! Joygasm! Shut up! Ah! You sunk my battleship!
They may have trouble adapting to their new environment.
Yeah, it's Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. Not a bad thing, but it's just Jim doing his usual shtick.
Has anybody ever told you you have a serious impulse control problem?
That's not to say the performance is bad. When Jim Carrey acts, it's always entertaining because you don't know what he's going to do. But for a Batman villain that's after his nemesis with mind games, it feels strange to see a mug and act goofy. The only interesting aspect is how the Riddler can be in the limelight because he is Edward Enigma, so he does have the advantage of being a villain without anyone knowing who he truly is. And yeah, there are times when the Riddler can be intimidating too, especially with his master plan, which is kind of scary when you think about it, because he's been doing this for the entire movie.
You've been sucking Gotham's brainwaves, and now you've devised a way to read men's minds.
Soon my little box will be on countless TVs around the world, feeding me credit card numbers, bank codes, sexual fantasies, and little white lies. Into my head they'll go. Victory is inevitable.
Wow. Of all the movie's faults, that actually holds up. The idea of someone digging into your brain and stealing... Oh my god, life is finally imitating art! You won't get me, giant brain-eating green beam. Do your worst!
There has to be some sort of explanation.
Yes, with a few more minutes with the Brain Box 9000, and I'll finally have all the secrets to life I need. Life, the universe, everything. It's all one big asterisk. Wait a minute.
My lord! It's full of crystal nudes!
Oh. Fox?
Ow.
Are you okay?
I don't know. But it feels like as if somebody has been digging around in the dark side of my brain.
Exactly which dark side?
A dark place that no mere mortal should ever tread. Star Fox porn.
With two villains at the helm, we also get an ally in the form of Robin, aka Dick Grayson, played by Chris O'Donnell.
The youngest, Flying Grayson.
He's 25. Or at least O'Donnell was at the time.
For me, I'm really mixed about how I feel about Chris O'Donnell. On paper, this works. Two-Face kills Dick's parents and this gives him the fuel for revenge. It gives Bruce a motive to help Robin get over the loss of his family. However...
Then it will happen this way. You make the kill. But your pain doesn't die with Harvey, it grows. Until one terrible morning you wake up and realize that revenge has become your whole life. And you won't know why.
You can't understand. Your family wasn't killed by a maniac.
Bitch! No offense to Chris, but his acting and some of the writing nearly hurts the character. Yeah, Robin does whine a lot, but he was a kid. In the movie, O'Donnell is way too whiny at times. I would be more forgiving if Robin was played by a teenager, because at least a kid thinks they own the world. This is a grown-up. And while his performance is not Batman and Robin degrading...
You got a real gratitude problem, you know that, Bruce? I need a name. Batboy, Nightwing. I don't know, what do you think? What's a good sidekick name?
I got one. How about the bitchy princess?
It's more interesting when you look into the deleted scenes and see Bruce actually tried to make an attempt to help Robin cope with his loss.
I know you're in a lot of pain because of your family. I know you feel responsible. I don't know you, but I'm like you. Have you given much thought to your future?
He is my future, all right?
Dick, don't let the love of your family twist into hatred of Two-Face.
Look, no offense, but I don't think you got a lot to teach me.
Don't be too sure.
It's a really good scene, and it adds to the character's dilemma.
Really think about it. How does killing someone rectify anybody's loss?
That is a good point. Did killing the Joker in the first Batman movie help get over the loss of his parents? No. Did helping Selena Kyle solve anything? Nope. Just turned her into a crazy cat lady. More than usual.
Sheesh. Batman really needs to get some help if all of his life choices lead to loss and grief.
Guess I'm early. I have an appointment.
Good. Then you can afford to buy me a new door.
Not that one.
Speaking of which, there's an entire subplot that is not in the final cut that would have greatly helped. Throughout the whole movie, Bruce tries to reason with his parents' death for the 60 bajillionth time, but this one actually has weight. It's revealed Bruce's dad wrote in a red journal, and the final entry says that little Bruce wanted to see a movie. Thus, he feels responsible for his parents' death, all because he wanted to have a movie night with his family. In the original cut, Bruce did come to terms that it wasn't his fault. Alfred guides him to a part of the cave where he fell to as a child and comes across the Red Book again, and discovers that there was more in that entry. Apparently, it wasn't his fault, because his folks decided to veto Bruce's movie night with seeing Zorro. And then we get this image.
I really don't know what to make of this. What about you, Judy? Who the hell is Man-Bat?
Master Bruce.
I'm Batman, Alfred.
Good thing I was handling that part of the cave. I got Luke Skywalker handling the other side. That would have been so weird if I was kicking my own ass.
Speaking of which, even if the emotional plot is cut, Batman Forever makes up for that with some good action. Like every Batman movie, there are some solid set pieces, and there are some good moments, but there is one minor flaw, and that is the execution. While these sets and moments look neat, there are times when the campy nature of the scene gets in the way.
Holy rusted metal, Batman!
Huh?
The ground, it's all metal, it's full of holes, you know?
I know there's a line between suspension of disbelief and mindless fun, but there are times when things get way too goofy.
Grappling hook!
Yes, because apparently in this world, one claw can pierce through drywall, carry a massive car up a side of a building, and be able to hold a big-ass safe. Sometimes even the extras of the scene kinda get in the way too.
Hold on.
Yes!
And-
Don't let go! Wow! My shoes are melting!
Is there at least some kind of off-putting moment that gives some sort of unintentional hilarity?
Again?
Again.
That extra. I'm a number one guy.
Even the music reflects the tone too. Elliot Goldenthal did the score, and he does a good job. The score gives a big and boisterous feel that does add to the light tone. But compared to Danny Elfman from the previous Batman movies, there's something missing. The two feel very like night and day. Elfman really captures the dark and brooding nature while carrying a sinister edge, while Goldenthal is a little more bouncy and explosive.
It's ironic as Goldenthal never worked on a superhero movie prior and has done work for movies like Alien 3, Pet Sematary, Demolition Man, and Interview with the Vampire, so he can do dark and intense scores. His work here is good, but it misses the dynamic sting Elfman brought like in the fight scenes. Compare, here's Batman Forever. While it's not bad, the pace of the score feels generic instead of relating to the action on the screen.
It could be worse. They could be finding a seal's kiss from a rose.
My power, my pleasure, my pain.
Now, as much as we love poking fun at this movie, we have to address that there is legit talent behind the camera here. And when said talent goes out in probably one of the worst but yet incredible of ways, it kind of makes you think.
No joke. When we were rewatching Batman Forever, a day after came the tragic passing of Joel Schumacher. And what makes it more unfortunate was that he was battling cancer.
Bogus.
This guy directed so much stuff, and to see him go out like that, it's not easy to take in. For years, Schumacher has been joked and goofed around for his work in the Batman movies. But when the director of his movies dies off, should the mockery even continue?
That's not an easy question to answer. On one hand, Joel has made tons of good movies, most of them serious thrillers, which are really good. Why let 1, 2, or even 3 get him down? When the critics knocked him, Joel got up and kept making one after another. Because he was a storyteller. I would even argue that the Batman movies he made were more studio-controlled than really something of his personal vision.
Yeah, from the start, he really wanted to do an adaptation of Frank Miller's Batman Year One, but Warner Brothers didn't want that. And knowing how dark his movies can go, what a missed opportunity.
And so for a guy who has been hit with the jabs, jokes, critics, and has been battling a terminal illness for so long, we salute you. Now, as for Batman Forever, Does it still hold up?
I mean, I did enjoy watching it still, but more of its issues seem to seep through the cracks this time around. It does try to have the feel of the previous two movies, but as Morgan said at the beginning, heads over at the studio had to lean this one to a different direction, and it really shows when seeing this one. If they would have gone with the original idea of another take on a dark Batman movie, then this would have been more interesting. But unfortunately, Warner Bros. Was like, no dark film! The only way we can see that is either the deleted scenes, or from edits that have been made by fans like the virtual work print or the Red Book edition. Now, I know talking about fan edits may be weird right now, but these two in particular are interesting experiments on what Joel's original idea of the film could have been. Hell, he even gave praise to the editor of the Red Book edition.
While I can't say it's the Batman movie, it's one of the more enjoyable entries. For a serviceable action flick, it works fine. The lacking element that it doesn't touch upon, that most of the others have, is who is Batman? But no, the studio didn't want a thinking movie. They just wanted a summer blockbuster, and that's very much what they got. Had Schumacher been able to do the vision he wanted from the start, I wonder what could have come from it. And with talk of a 3-hour cut that might exist, only time can tell when that version will see the light of day. The only thing we can turn to are the fans that can show a serious movie can be made with the power of editing. As it is, Batman Forever doesn't suck. It's just decent popcorn fun.
Still, Joel Schumacher technically made a Batman movie, just without Batman.
You don't mean?
Oh yes! The Lost Boys!
It's too late, but blood is in your veins. So is mine!
Wow. How coincidental. Does the fun ever really end, Gus?
No, Dr. Morgan. Not in this lifetime.
You just know what you got. Oh Lord,
Cut.
Was that over the top? I can never tell.